preventive care should include coverage of contraceptive services such as birth control.
You see, if you don't believe government should pay for your birth control, you're not a real woman. Womanhood denied. If you refuse to accept that pregnancy is a punishment, you're denied as well.
I don't want them punished with a baby.
If you don't believe that abortions should be allowed for any reason, if you don't believe in aborting a child for being the wrong gender, and if you don't believe that stay-at-home mothers aren't real workers, you are not a real conformed woman.
His wife has actually never worked a day in her life. His wife has actually never worked a day in her life.
Finally, for your safety, if you oppose mandatory government health care, you will die.
They will be voting to say that women can die on the floor.
These standards and regulations were formed after our glorious victory in the war on women. Thank you for your cooperation and your conformity.
Governor Romney's argument is, we're not fixed, so fire him and put me in.
If I was in his shoes, I'd be making the same argument.
It is true, we're not fixed.
We know we're not there yet. We're not where we want to be.
Too many of our friends and family are still out there looking for work.
I don't think anybody would say that we're where we want to be.
The housing market's still weak. Deficits are still too high. Are we satisfied? Of course not. They shouldn't feel satisfied.
There's still a lot of people in trouble.
Are we where we want to be today? No.
Here's the thing. A lot of people are still hurting out there.
But that's not good enough.
That's not good enough.
It's certainly not enough.
We know it's not good enough.
I always believed this was a long-term project. It's going to take more than a year. It's going to take more than 2 years. It's going to take more than one term. Probably takes more than one president. If I don't have this done in 3 years, then there's going to be a one-term proposition.
I always loved watching the kids play basketball. I still do, even though things have changed. It's funny, they can't find jobs to get their career started. And I can't afford to retire. And now we're all living together again. I supported President Obama because he spoke so beautifully. He promised change, but things changed for the worse. Obama started spending like our credit cards have no limit. His healthcare law made health insurance even more expensive. We've had stimulus and bailouts. Obama added almost $16,000 in debt for every American. How will my kids pay that off when they can't even find jobs? Now Obama wants more spending and taxes. That won't fix things. I had so many hopes. Cutting taxes and debt and creating jobs. That's the change we need. Tell President Obama to cut the job-killing debt and support the New Majority Agenda at newmajorityagenda.org.
Is the economy getting you down? Are you looking for something to keep the kids busy while you wait in that long unemployment line? Introducing Wacko Toys' newest innovation, the Nancy Pelosi Halloween Party Pack. You'll be the envy of your collective as you invite 434 of your closest comrades over to celebrate a decidedly non-religious, secularized pagan festival to the evil undead, otherwise known as a Pelosi family reunion.
Hey kids, Wacko Toys has done it again. Check it out.
You have got to be kidding.
Ew, that looks spooky.
That's right. The Nancy Pelosi Halloween Party Pack comes complete with an oversized gavel, a do-it-yourself home Botox kit, scalpel, and surgical suture kit to really get those jowls pinned back. Plus, if you act in the next 2,140 seconds, we'll throw in the communist candy redistribution system. Just imagine the looks on those snotty rich kids' faces when your candy redistributor rips open their designer trick-or-treat bags and doles out their Skittles and Snickers bars to the more deserving kids. You know, the ones from the other side of town, cruising the nice neighborhoods in search of the really good candy.
Come on, kids. Let's set it up.
Hey, that's our candy.
Mommy, make it stop.
The Nancy Pelosi Halloween Party Pack available for only a limited time. Supplies not expected to last beyond November 2nd. Please do not subject the Nancy Pelosi costume to water and keep away from falling houses. Some boxes may not include all the listed items. You must purchase the party pack to find out what's in it.
Just about everyone knows that government at every level is requiring more and more Americans to get a government-issued license before they can earn an honest living. In the 1950s, well, only about 1 in 20 Americans needed the government's blessing to do their job. Today, that number is more than 1 in 3, and government puts all kinds of requirements on would-be entrepreneurs, making it harder for these entrepreneurs to start and grow small businesses. Entrepreneurs like Chuck here. This is Chuck. Oh, Chuck hates his job. But Chuck has an idea.
I'm going to fix computers in my garage and sell them for low prices.
Chuck.
My business will create new jobs for my community.
Chuck, old boy.
And give more young people access to computers. And then once my business really gets going, I can expand into a commercial space and...
You live in Milwaukee.
So?
Actually, in Milwaukee, starting a business in your home means you can't work in your garage, can't have any employees, can't have any signs, and can't take deliveries.
What?
Unless you come up with the money for a commercial lease right away, you won't be starting your business at all.
Well, if Milwaukee won't have me, I'm going to start my business somewhere else.
That's the spirit.
What Los Angeles needs is a good used bookstore.
Actually, believe it or not, Los Angeles treats used bookshops like they were strip clubs or gun shops. You'll need a permit from the police to operate. You'll have to be fingerprinted. Anyone who sells you books may need to be fingerprinted, too. For every book you buy, you'll have to stamp it with an individualized number that corresponds to a bill of sale that identifies the book and who it came from. The police get to inspect those bills of sale, and hold on, you'll also have to hold books for at least 30 days before you sell them, just in case the police have any questions.
But the First Amendment to the Constitution protects my...
The First Amendment? Well, how quaint. And hey, you're not planning on selling that copy of the Constitution to anyone, are you, Chuck?
No, for Pete's sake.
Balloon advertising? Well, that's an idea that's on the rise. Maybe you're onto something here, Chuck. But remember, Chuck, entrepreneurs aren't the only ones who have ideas. Bureaucrats have them, too.
Here in Houston, you're only allowed to use balloons to sell cars, or if you have a message that doesn't sell anything at all.
That's ridiculous.
You're right. All balloons now banned in Houston.
Maybe Houston just ain't your kind of place, Chuck. How about D.C.? Oh, want to be an interior designer, huh? Not too bad. Not too bad at all. But in Washington, D.C., you'll need a license before you can tell people where to put those paintings, pillars, and planters.
But that doesn't make any sense.
Actually, that makes a ton of sense. And dollars, too. You see, existing interior designers lobbied the city to make all new interior designers, but none of the current ones. Take a test and pay a bunch of money to go into the interior design business. It's a win-win for the industry and the government. Interior designers get to keep out the competition, and government gets to make money. Don't go ruining a good thing by trying to lower prices for consumers now. Now you're talking, Chuck. Miami. Nice and sunny down there. Valencia oranges and lots of tourists, too. You want to be a street vendor, huh? Well, you just need to get a little old permission slip from the city government. Ready, Chuck? Let's go. Here's all you'll need.
An occupational license from the city of Miami. An occupational license from Miami-Dade County. A license from the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation if you want to sell prepared food. Or, if you want to sell prepackaged food, a license from the Florida Department of Agriculture. Or if you want to sell gum, another license from the city of Miami. A city of Miami tax certificate. A state of Florida tax certificate. A certification from the Florida Department of Revenue that all your taxes have been paid. A copy of the current Florida Department of Motor Vehicles registration for your cart. A license plate for your cart. A cart certification form signed by 3 different bureaucrats from 3 different departments. And $500,000 in insurance coverage for any bodily injury or property damage caused by your vending.
Got all your paperwork together, Chuck?
Yes.
Great. Now you're entitled to enter the street vendor lottery. If you're lucky enough to win, you'll be allowed to start your business. And the winner is... Oh, not you. Tough luck, Chuck. This is still Chuck. He still hates his job. Any ideas left, guy?
Oh. I'm just going to sell the leftover stuff from my computer business and go back to my old job.
Actually.
What?
If you want to close a business in Milwaukee, you'll need a government-issued license for that, too. And you'll have to give the government an itemized inventory every day of everything you're selling. Sorry, guy, that's just the cost of doing business. Or of, going out of business.
Oh, I just give up.
Excellent. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go fix this unemployment problem.
Want to help people like Chuck? Visit www.ij.org to learn more and support IJ's work protecting economic liberty.
You're listening to the Sons of Liberty show on the CB Media Network.
Like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Alright, and welcome back to the Sons of Liberty show here on Conservative Broadcast Media. I am your Iron Man of Classical Liberal Thought, Bradley Reese, and that's exactly right. This show is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Had a fairly long break there, and during the break you heard a little bit about the plight of Chuck trying to leave his job and start a business or move somewhere else in the country to start a business, and then finding out that he actually couldn't start a business, and furthermore, going out of business was going to cost him a bunch of headache as well. And you know, this gets back to a fairly fundamental and easy to articulate, for God's sakes, point that, well, the GOP candidates have not been making. The regulatory burden from federal and local governments. Federal regulations alone, not counting states and localities, federal regulations alone cost businesses in this country, just in compliance, upwards of $2 trillion on a yearly basis. $2 trillion. Sucked directly out of the private sector. $2 trillion in capital that could be better placed, I don't know, innovating or creating jobs in this country. But no, it is spent in complying with federal regulations on a yearly basis. Where was the talk of the Federal Regulatory Code, the Code of Federal Regulations, the 10,000 Commandments? That is actually more like 60,000 commandments at its current level. Where was the talk of this in any of the campaigns this election cycle? Presidential campaign, Senate campaigns, House campaigns, campaigns for state legislature or county board of supervisors or city councils. Who in this country was talking about the massive regulatory burden on everyday citizens in this country? There may have been a couple, but they were few and far between, weren't they? And this goes back to a point that I've been making for I don't know how long. The fact that the problem in politics in this country today is not so much that the conservative side, the liberty side, or the Republican side is making arguments that are ineffectual, but that they are not making the correct argument.